So recently I did a video on rifle light position, as in where do we mount that light to the rifle and why. Now, one of the questions I got asked was why not just mount a X300 at the 12 o'clock position? And it makes sense in theory to do, but I have found that I don't like pistol lights on rifles, and I'm going to talk about why. I'm not saying you can never do it. There are some drawbacks that we need to consider. And so basically, if it's like just a home defense rifle, whatever, it should be fine. But if this is a rifle you're actually going to be carrying on you, or it's going to be like, say you're driving and it's in your passenger seat, then it is not ideal to have a pistol light on a rifle. Now, I got this mounted up on my airsoft gun, in case you're wondering, hey, why isn't that gun loaded? It's because I don't want to mistake this for a real gun in an emergency, or have anyone in my family mistake it for a real gun. But let's get into it. So, with the design of pistol lights, these were designed to be put onto a pistol. Now think about a pistol. A pistol goes into a holster, or you have positive control of it in your hands. Rifles and shotguns, long guns, are different in the sense that when we're not keeping positive control of the rifle, we will sling it and put it around our body. So then we don't have the control on the gun, it's just kept against our body. That's also why long guns need to have safeties, because that trigger's not protected. And so with it being unsafe, it's less likely that that trigger will get pressed, right? And then a pistol goes in a holster, so that's why you don't need a safety on a Glock. Now, I'm not gonna go deeper in that discussion. I want you to think about it like this. The button for the light is kind of like the trigger for the gun, right? If that gets pressed when we don't want it to, that's basically an ND with the light. So, being that this light mounted on a rifle is not going to be going into a holster and protecting those buttons, I don't like having it on the rifle, okay? I used to have one of my X300s mounted to this AK when I first got it, and it was mounted in this 45-degree position, top left, and so that's worse than the 12 o'clock as far as access to the buttons. But I found all the time that light was turned on when I didn't want it to be. It's mostly during the day, so basically later that day I would find out, oh, this light is dead right now. Now, why did I have that light on that rifle? Is just I had that light and I needed to put a light on the rifle, so I did it. But that's why I don't prefer it now, because driving around with that rifle, like in my passenger seat, that switch would get bumped and that light would be on when I didn't want it to be on, and then it'd be dead later. Or even like teaching a class and having that rifle slung to me, it would bounce off some part of my body or the kit I was wearing, and then that button would get turned and my light would be on, and only when someone saw like that hot spot on the ground or shining off something did we know that the light was on. Okay, so higher likelihood of having a light ND with this mounted to your gun. Now, it is different if you're like, hey, this is a home defense gun, and so this rifle sits in the corner or the closet or whatever, and it's not going to be slung against my body. I'm not patrolling with it or something like that. Sure, you could absolutely get away with mounting an X300 to the gun, or a TLR1 or whatever pistol light in that style. You can get away with it. It's just, you think about it, these buttons are not well protected. Now, if there is a product out there that can shroud around those buttons so that that's not an issue, please let me know. I looked for one, I didn't see it. I didn't want to spend all day looking for one, but I would be interested in that. Or if you're like a dude who 3D prints, go ahead and use this idea. Make a thing that you can put on the light where you have to like get in from behind to access that button, and it can't be done from the outside. That would be great. Otherwise, if you are mounting this to your rifle or your long gun for whatever reason, one thing I would consider is finding a way to mod it so that these switches cannot go up and down, and that it would be only a push button for an X300, and that way it would be like only momentary activation, and that way it wouldn't get stuck in constant on. Now, there'd still be a chance of it getting bumped and having a light ND, but it wouldn't be as likely to happen, in my opinion, as it getting switched to constant on. I found that to be the major issue with putting a X300 on a rifle. Now, for mounting a TLR1 to a long gun, I prefer that even less because these buttons are very loose. So I just found that like it's very easy. There's little resistance to make that switch to either momentary mostly or to even constant on. There's just very little resistance, so I don't really like the switches on these. Not saying you can't use them, but man, I would hate to have a light ND with my rifle, you know, and that cause everyone to see me and give away my position, or, you know, like I've had it to just get flipped onto constant on, and then when I need my light, it's dead. So anyways, that's why I don't like having a pistol light on a rifle. Like I said, if it's not a rifle that's going to be slung on your body frequently, or you're not going to have it like traveling with it, and it's just a home defense gun, sure, I'm sure it'd be just fine. But those are some things to consider. So anyways, we got classes coming up, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Kentucky. We have the Combat Arts Summit September 27th and 28th. We'll be running Proving Grounds Pistol Force on 4th the day before. So check out the calendar on the website, link below. Thank you for watching. Keep fighting communism. Kill all pedophiles. And remember that training saves lives.